Y'all know what time it is. If you don't, check your Apple Watch. Check the top left corner of the screen on your smartphone. We getting into it. If you're watching this on replay, I appreciate you. Hope you're having a great day, whatever day it happens to be, whatever year it happens to be. This content is evergreen no matter when you come across this. It could be years, it could be decades after it came out. This will be useful content to you no matter when you come across it. As you are checking in, shout yourselves out in the comment section. If you don't know how I do, you will learn. You're going to learn today. And if you forgot, you will relearn today. Everybody shout yourselves out in the comment section. Tell me your name and tell me where you're checking in from. And let's get to what we got to get to here today. It's a beautiful day here in South Florida, as usual. And when you come down here in August for my event called Work on Your Game Live, then you will be able to see this in person. You won't have to take my word for anything. So as you're coming in, shout yourselves out in the comment section. Tell me your name and location. Spencer Money 12. What's going on, Spencer? He was the first person with the comment. So shout out to Spencer. We got Arbin from Toronto. Arbin, are you coming to Miami for Work on Your Game Live? I heard that they let y'all out the cages up there in Canada, and y'all actually have freedom again, somewhat. So are you coming to Miami? That's what I want to know. Soul Art New York, what's going on, lady? I appreciate your presence. Everybody shout yourselves out in the comment section. The Gifted 824. Tell me your name and location. Gifted 824. RTOKP says, is this Dre Baldwin? I mean, do you know anybody else who has his hat on every time you see him? Of course, this is Dre Baldwin. We got Matt checking in from Vegas. Shout out to Vegas, man. I was in Vegas. When was it? I'm trying to remember what today's date. I was in Vegas like 3 weeks ago. It was so hot. I've been to Vegas like 20 times. That was the hottest it's ever been. It was 115 degrees. It was crazy. It's like you opened the oven door. It literally felt like you opened the oven doors. No humidity. It's just dry heat just hitting you in your face. Christian says, had a one-on-one session with you. Yes, we sent you a link to schedule that session, Christian. I don't know if you scheduled it. I didn't see it in the calendar. So if you didn't check that, we sent you an email with a link. So make sure you schedule the session, Christian. Spencer from Philadelphia. Shout out to Philly, my hometown. Shout out to Mount Airy. Shout out to Germantown. Shout out to South Philly, West Philly, Northeast Philly. Shout out to South Jersey, and shout out to everybody who's from the outside of Philly, from the suburbs of Philly, but then when you ask them where they're from, they say they're from Philly. K1 Eats, what's going on? From Philly, Pennsylvania, I appreciate you. You say, you're trying to, my parents don't trust me, tough, strict life out here. Bring them too, they can come too. Each of y'all needs a ticket, but bring your parents too. Is it two of them? So it's 3 people right there. Y'all, all 3 of them come. But anyway, everybody, Travis from Orlando, what's good? So everybody, my name is Dre Baldwin. For those who don't know me, some people know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of 29 books. This is my newest book. It's called The Third Day. It's coming out on the 3rd day of August 3rd. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. That's not really what this live is about. But I created this whole brand, this business, this philosophy called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the mental tools that help you succeed in sports and using those same tools to succeed in business and in life. And I teach business professionals, entrepreneurs, athletes. And one of the ways that I do it is through these lives, also through things like books, through live events. Like you see that pinned comment that I got down there. I'm doing a live event down here in Miami next month. This Thursday, though, is the last day to get tickets. I'll tell you about that later on. I do podcasting. I have a daily show that comes out every single day. It's called Work on Your Game. If you couldn't guess the name of the show, I appear on other people's shows. I do professional speaking. I've done 4 TED Talks. I write articles. I do a lot of writing. There's a lot of different ways that we get this message out there. This live stream I'm doing right here is just one example of the ways that we get the game out there. So today, what we're going to talk about is why you need to play in as many road games as possible in your life. If you don't know what a road game is, then I'm going to explain it in a minute. I'm going to explain to you what it literally means. Then I'm going to give you the metaphor for what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to give you some points to go with it. Then I'm going to recap my points. And then I'm going to answer everybody's questions. If you have a question, comment, concern about anything that I say in this live, just post it in the comments and I will respond to every single comment when you post it down there in the comments. So everybody understand how this is going to go. This is how I do it all the time when I do live. So it's your first time seeing me live. Be here next time. And if you've seen me here live before, then go tell somebody that they need to be in this live so that we can spread the wealth. So what does this even mean, this whole concept of a road game? Now, me coming from the sports world, or any of you who play sports or you watch sports, you know what a road game is. We got the home games, which is when you're playing in your home venue, your home arena, where everybody knows you. you know the venue, you know the space, you're comfortable there because you know everything there. That's a home game. Just like if the Miami Heat play against the Chicago Bulls and the game is in Miami, it's a home game for the Miami Heat. You get to sleep in your own bed, your family can come to the game, you know everybody there, you know the whole arena, everything. The crowd is cheering for you, you do your thing, hopefully you win the game. If the Bulls and the Heat play and the game is in Chicago, what's going on, Carly? What's going on, Train with Lane? If the game is in Chicago, then what do we have? That's a road game for the Miami Heat, where the Bulls are all comfortable, but the Heat, you had to sleep in a hotel room, you had to fly on a plane to get there, you don't know anybody in the arena, the fans are probably booing and hoping that you lose, but you still got to win that game, right? And if any of you who knows professional sports, you know that half of your games are at home and half of your games are on the road. Now, usually teams win at home more often than they win on the road, but you got to win some road games to win. Right, you think about somebody like Michael Jordan when he made that big shot, the last shot, quote unquote, last shot against the Utah Jazz in 1998. That game was on the road. It was in Utah. When LeBron and the Cavs beat the Golden State Warriors, that 73-win Warriors that blew up 3-1 lead, that game 7 was in Oakland. That was a road game that they had to win that championship. So to be a champion in life, in sports rather, you must win road games. Doesn't mean you got to win all of them, but you have to play a bunch of them and you have to win some of them in order to be a champion. Now, what does this have to do with what we're talking about here today? What I'm talking about here today is not necessarily about sports. In everyday life, in business, a road game is a similar idea. It's when you're in a situation where things are not necessarily set up for you to be successful. Maybe it's set up for your opponent to win more easily than it's set up for you to win. Maybe you have an uphill climb that you have to go against. Maybe there are some people who don't want to see you be successful and they will do everything that they can to slow you down and stop you from winning. Maybe you got to work 10 times harder than somebody else to get the same outcome as that person. All of those situations are what we call road games. That's playing a game on the road in life. It is not in your arena. It is not set up for you to win. People are not pulling for you to be successful. People might even be trying to stop you from being successful. What I'm asserting here, and I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to give you some points in a minute, is that when you play a road game in life, first of all, you are still responsible for winning that road game. If you play in the game, you're responsible for winning. I don't care what somebody else did to try to stop you, how hard it is for you, how it's easier for somebody else. If you get in the game, you're responsible for winning. This is what we say in sports. If you're injured and you feel like you can't give your best effort, listen, you got two choices. Either don't play in the game at all, or if you suit up and you get on the court or on the field, no excuses, period. That's the way it is. If you get on the field or you get on the court and you're hurt or you're not 100% or you're sick, don't make excuses if you lose. You got to get out there and play or don't play. If you can't play, don't play. But if you play, no excuses. And it's the same thing in life. And the other thing that I want you to understand is that to be successful in life, you must win on the road. There is no way, there is no person listening to me right now, and nobody that any of you knows who has become successful in life through only playing home games. All right, nobody's life is one long home game. To be successful in life, you will have to go up against the odds. You'll have to be in situations where you're not supposed to win, but you win anyway. Everybody following what I'm saying here? What's going on? Subhashu Chandra. That's a long name you got there. India, shout out to India. So let me get into my points here, and I'm gonna answer all questions at the end. So if I say anything that resonates with you, leave it in the comments or ask a question, and let's get into these points. The topic, once again, is why you have to win, why you have to play in and win road games in life. So the definition of a road game, everybody got it? It's not on your home turf. It's not in your comfort zone. You got to do a little bit more to get the same result, and you're responsible for winning anyway. All right, this is the unfair situations in life. Those are road games, and you have to win road games, okay? We don't complain about road games. We don't make hashtags about road games. We don't protest about road games. You play road games, and you win. Now let's get into why you need to do this in life. Number one, anybody can look good and win when the whole situation is set up in their favor. All right, how many of you been in a situation in your life where everything was set up for you to win? Like you played on a sports team and your dad was the coach, so you got all the playing time. Or you tried to get a job somewhere and your mom already works there, so of course you got hired. How many of you been in a situation like that in life where everything was set up for you to be successful and then you became successful? All right, that's cool and it's fine, and hopefully you get as many of those situations as you possibly can, but understand, everybody looks good when everything's working in their favor. How many of you who is an entrepreneur who's listening to this right now, you know, put a product out or you put some kind of offering out and everybody just goes and buys it and you're making all this money and you can't stop it even if you wanted to. You're feeling real good in those moments. You're looking good, you're feeling good, your energy's up. Now everything you do is just working. Any of you ever been in a situation where just you're driving on the road and all you see is green lights in front of you? Everybody looks good in that situation. And I hope for you, I pray for you, you get as many of those circumstances in your life as possible. But understand, you're not a champion in life until you see all red lights and you win anyway. Everybody looks good when everything's working, okay? When the situation is tailored to you, all the fans are cheering for you, you're familiar with the venue, everybody's working in your favor, of course, you're gonna win. Those are the games that you're expected to win, okay? So if you're in a situation where everything's working in your favor, all right, you better win because that's what you're supposed to do. We ain't gotta talk about that one too much. Everybody knows what it feels like to play a home game in life. The challenge is so many people either expect every situation to be a home game or they complain when it's not a home game because you haven't built up the necessary mental toughness, the internal fortitude to win games on the road. And that's what we're really talking about here. But understand that home games are good. There's nothing wrong with winning a home game. You should win a home game. You better have a great record at home. But when you go on the road, keep that same energy. That's the point that I'm making here, point number one. Point number two is this. We're talking about why you need to play as many road games as possible in life and why you need to actually win road games when you play them in life. Number two, and this is a key point, you are only as good as what you come up against in life. To be successful as let's say if you're in hand-to-hand combat, like last night was a UFC event. I don't watch MMA, but I know there was an event. In something like that, combat sports like boxing or karate or kickboxing or MMA, you're only as good as the people you beat. All right, so if you didn't beat anybody who can beat you, then are you really a champion? Not really. But what really makes you a champion is, again, beating somebody who can beat you. And if you're playing a sport, I don't care what sport it is, basketball, and all the people you beat are trash, then that means you're trash. Because who'd you beat? You beat a whole bunch of trash. Now, if you beat somebody who can play, now that's a whole different story. And it's the same situation in life. What have you gone up against in order to get to where you are? What challenges have you faced down? What obstacles have you overcome to get to the position that you're at right now? And if you're in a situation right now where maybe you're facing some stiff opposition, you're not quite sure how you're going to figure it out, how you're going to do it, or how you're going to achieve, understand that facing challenges like this is exactly how you become a champion. Because until you face these type of challenges, you're not qualified to be a champion. Champions must go up against the odds and win anyway. This is what a road game is about. Who have you beaten? What have you come up against? What challenges have you faced? And how did you deal with them? And once you start doing those things, then you are now qualified to talk to everybody else and say, okay, look, this is what you need to understand. These are the things that you need to do. These are the places that you're going to need to go. Now, I understand the situation's not looking good right now, but this is exactly where you need to be because you need to know what this feels like in order to get to where you want to go. All right, if you're not in a situation where, in anywhere in life, this could be in business, in sports, and anything, if you're never in a circumstance where the opposition could kick your ass, then you are unqualified to be a champion. If you're in hand-to-hand combat sport and you never face somebody who could really fuck you up, then you're not really a champion. And if you're an athlete playing basketball and you don't play against somebody who could really just bust your ass and give you 30 and block your shot every time, if you never did that, then you can't really say that you're good. If you run a business and you've never been in a situation where, damn, my business needs to make this much money in this much time, and if I don't do it, then I'm gonna go out of business. You've never been in that situation and dealt with it and came up out of that situation, then you're not really qualified to really talk to too many other people about how to do business because you haven't been in any situation where it looked like you were down, but then you ended up being up. This is what all of life, again, we can equate it to sports, we can talk in business, and we can talk in life. But you're only as good as what you come up against in all of life, no matter what you do. Now, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself in situations where you can get some easy victories just to build up some momentum and get some confidence. There's nothing wrong with that. And I remember I was reading this book about Kobe Bryant. There's been several books written about him, but it was one written by Roland Lazenby. He's written many books about athletes, like these profiles on athletes, long books. And he talked about Kobe. And you know, Kobe Bryant's dad played in the league too. So when Kobe's dad is raising his kid, he wants his kid to be better than he was. So he's putting Kobe in all these leagues and on these teams, and he would move Kobe around to different teams, all based on one thing. He would try to have Kobe be on it. I'm talking about when he was in like high school, like middle school, high school. he would put Kobe on these teams where he could be the man. And they will always use that phrase, like Kobe wants to be the man. And Kobe would even say to himself, I want to be the man on any team I'm on. So Kobe wouldn't go to like the strongest AAU team with all the best players. He would go to a team that might not be that good, but where he would be the best player so that he could get experience being the main guy. And Kobe just wanted to be the main guy. And we see how that played out in his career. He played with Shaq for a few years. Then he wanted to be the main guy. They got Shaq out of there, and Kobe got to be the main guy. That was his destiny. He always wanted to do that, put himself in that position. So I'm not saying that it's wrong to be in a situation where things are kind of tailored to your liking, because that way you could build up some momentum, you could build up some confidence, and you can get experience. Even in the boxing world, when a boxer first becomes pro, usually they fight like some guys, some people who've been around, guys who may not be that good, just so they can get their feet wet and they can get used to being in these matches. You don't start your career fighting against the champion, right? You got to build your way up. So there's nothing wrong with doing that, but understand you're not a champion until you go up against a champion. You're not tough till you go up against somebody or something that is just as tough, if not tougher than you. So who did you go up against in order to get to where you are? That's a question that you're going to be asking yourself on a consistent basis. How many road games have you played in? How many road games have you won? In business, the home game, everybody's calling you. Like all the phone calls are coming into you, and you just got to decide which business to take. A road game in business is when nobody's calling your phone, nobody's lighting up your inbox, and you got to make some business happen. Can you go do it? Can you go make it happen? Can you go and eat what you killed? If any of you ever watched those shows on like National Geographic with the animals, like the lions and the cheetahs and the predators, and they're just trying to survive, right? They know that every day when they wake up, if they don't kill something, then either they might die of starvation or their young might die of starvation. Every day they got to kill something to eat. If they don't kill something, they don't eat. And that's how those animals become so tough, right? And they don't have the skill like we do of rationalization. They can't tell themselves a story that, okay, I didn't kill anything today. It's all right. I'll be able to make it happen tomorrow, or it's not my fault, or it was raining outside, or it was cold, or the other animals are working against me. They can't rationalize. You either eat or you starve. And this is the animal instinct that we all have as human beings buried within us. Challenge is some of us rationalize so much that we lose touch with that killer instinct. And I got master classes on that exact topic that I'll refer you to later. Or if you just tune into the Work on Your Game show that comes out every day on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, I'll tell you about it. So the second point, everybody got it? You're only as good as what you come up against. Third point, we are talking here today why you need to play as many road games as possible in life. Understand that you build strength of character, you build will, and you build toughness on the road. You don't build any of those things at home. You can't become tough sitting on your couch in the house reading books about toughness. You can't develop mental fortitude watching TV shows about other people who have mental fortitude. Doesn't mean you can't learn from them, and it doesn't mean you can't get some insight and see some things and say, okay, I see what this person did. It makes sense. Maybe I'll try that next time. You can get some information from them, but you can't become mentally tough until you put yourself in a situation that is tough, or you find yourself in a situation that is tough. You can't become strong by reading about lifting weights. You have to go in the gym and actually lift weights. You got to be in the situation. Like I talked about in my post I put up on IG last week, you got to be in the room in life. There are many things in life that we can do, we know we can do through these phones. Like right now I'm communicating with you. Some of you never been to where I'm at. I maybe have never been to where you're at, but we can communicate directly almost immediately through this phone. And there's so many things we can do. We can send emails, we can post pictures, we can make videos. You can do a whole business just through a phone. But understand there are certain things that need to occur in person. You need to actually be in the room, physically in the room, shake somebody's hand, look them in their face, and it's a way different game when you're in the room than when you're watching it on TV or theoretically thinking about it through reading a book. So you can't build that toughness virtually. You got to do it in person. Everybody follow what I'm saying? You can't build character playing home games all season long. You got to play some road games. You got to go into a hostile environment where things are not in your favor. People don't want you to win. People actually want you to lose, and they will do everything they can to make sure you lose, and you got to win anyway. That's a road game. My question is, and this is what I want you to think about here today, how many of these situations have you been in your life? How many do you put yourself in on purpose? How often are you putting yourself in a situation of playing a road game? I remember when I was playing at growing up, I was playing at my local recreation center in Philadelphia. It's called Finley Recreation Center, Uptown Philly. And one of the older guys in my neighborhood said to me once, Dre, like I was starting to get good at the neighborhood rec center. I would pick up on the outdoor courts all the time. I was starting to get good. And one of the older guys said to me, all right, what you need to do now, Dre, you need to go play at a different playground. Go to a playground where nobody knows you, where nobody's your friend, nobody cares about you. You might get in a fight if they don't like you, or somebody might foul you hard and not care. Go to one of those playgrounds and play and see what you do there. And the whole point that he was making was, you need to play a road game. He didn't explain this out like I'm doing it right now, but that's what he was telling me. You need to go play a road game, because right now this is becoming a home game for you. You're so used to this part and you're so comfortable here. That's part of the reason why you're playing good. Go play somewhere where you might not be so comfortable, and let's see what you do there. And that's how the mental toughness gets built. That's how the internal fortitude is developed. You got to go somewhere where the people don't know you. When I was trying to get into playing basketball professionally overseas, I graduated from a Division III college. I didn't really have any prospects to go play overseas. Nobody was checking for me. I wasn't getting phone calls from agents and any of that. And I wanted to play them. So I went to this event called an exposure camp, which is like a job fair for ball players. You bring your sneakers, you play ball. And there's a bunch of ball players. Everybody's trying to get on. So everybody's hungry. Everybody's trying to prove themselves. Nobody is known. Well, a few guys were known. They had played overseas already. I went there. I didn't know any. Nobody knew me. I didn't know any of them. And I had to get on that court for 2 days and show what I could do. And it was either sink or swim. Either you make it or you don't. And I did my thing at that exposure camp. And that's how I was able to get my career started, because I showed up, and it was literally a road game, because that camp was in Orlando. I'm not from Miami, I'm from Philadelphia. So I came from Philly, went to Orlando at this camp where I never been to this place, nobody there knew me. I did my thing for those 2 days, and that's how I was able to get on. I had to play on the road in order to get on, because when I played at home, meaning at my college, yes, there were no scouts coming to our games, because we weren't like, it was not like we were in North Carolina or Duke. We're not some pro factory producing first round draft picks, and most players that went to my school didn't play basketball professionally. So I had to go somewhere where it was at, and I had to show myself in that place. And if I didn't show myself during that weekend on Orlando, then none of the rest of this would have happened. Even this now, even though I don't talk about basketball like that anymore, all my business is built on what I did in basketball. So had that not happened, this wouldn't be happening right now. So I had to go play on the road in order to make that happen. So you, again, ask yourself, how many road games have you played, and when's the next road game you're playing? When's the next time you're putting yourself in a position of being on a road game? And number 4, last point here today. Lacking mental toughness, you will not survive to tell the story of a road game. And understand this whole thing about playing games on the road, you're not going to win every time you play on the road, because look, you're playing against somebody who's at home. And if they're just as good as you are, sometimes you're going to lose. Sometimes you're going to get hit in the mouth and you won't be able to hit them back. Sometimes you're going to just get crossed over and dunked on, and you won't be able to, and you're just not going to win that game. It's just going to go down like that. So it's not that you have to win every road game, but you got to play in the road games. And if you have no mental toughness, if you don't develop that strength, you don't develop that fortitude, then you won't even be able to talk about that road game, and you'll never show up for another one. Because I guarantee you, one day you're going to play in a road game in life, and that road game is going to kick your ass. You're going to go up against somebody better than you. They're going to beat you. You're going to go up against a situation that you can't figure out. The situation is going to beat you. You are going to be in a situation of what side you're going to fail. You're trying to win, but you end up failing anyway. Do you come back? Do you show up the next day? And this is what I tell athletes all the time. So athletes sometimes ask me, Dre, how do I know if I should keep playing my sport or if I should give it up? Because right now I'm not so excited about my sport, or I'm not getting success in my sport. I'll tell you the answer to the question. When I was coming up playing ball, I wasn't really that good in my early teen years. So when I would go to the park or to the local rec and try out for a team and not make it, or go play pickup and I wouldn't do good in the games, or I wouldn't get picked up for the games, or I'd play in the game and not do nothing, and other players get mad at me, or the older guys would just give me dirty looks because I was messing up, missing layups and missing open shots and not playing good defense and all that stuff. Here's the question. Do you come back the next day? Do you show up to the gym the next day after yesterday's workout kicked your ass? You started a business and your business failed. Do you start another business? Or are you so afraid of failing again that you don't want to go into business anymore? What do you do after the road game kicks your ass? If you have mental toughness, you come right back the very next day and say, all right, let's do it. Now, if you don't, then you quit and we never hear from you again. I mentioned Kobe earlier. most of you probably, a lot of you maybe might not even be old enough to remember, but when Kobe was a rookie in the NBA, his first year, he came off the bench. He didn't really play a lot. He averaged like 7-8 points per game. But at the end of the last game of the series, they played in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz. It was a road game, literally on the road in Utah. The Lakers are losing, but they need somebody to make a last-second shot. But they didn't have many guys who could create their own shots. So they put this rookie in the game. They put Kobe in the game. Let's see what he can do, because nobody else is making any shots. Kobe shot 3 or 4 air balls in the fourth quarter and overtime on the last game of the series. The Lakers lost, and they got eliminated from the playoffs. And as the story goes, and they even said this in the book, but I heard this way even back when Kobe was playing. But even in the book that I recently read about Kobe, they said the very next day when the Lakers got off the plane, Kobe didn't even go to his house. He went straight to the practice facility and started working on his game, because he realized, all right, I need to get better. I need to get stronger. I need to work on my jump shot. Because Kobe wasn't that great of a jump shooter when he came in the league. Later on, he became a very effective shooter, but he wasn't that great when he first came in the league. But he got his ass kicked. Wasn't embarrassed. The whole world was watching. It's the playoffs. This is not a regular season game. Playoffs. He knows that everybody knows he's this high schooler who a lot of people say he wasn't ready. He shouldn't come out. He came out. Didn't play that much his rookie year, gets in a game in the playoff series where he can shut everybody up, doesn't shut them up. He shoots 3 air balls. So he's looking like he's proving everybody right that they said he shouldn't have came to the NBA, shouldn't have went to college. What did he do? He came back. He didn't disappear. He didn't go into a shell. He came back. He was mentally tough enough to say, all right, let me go work on my game. Let me go get better. I need to improve. He improved, and everybody knows who Kobe is, right? I don't even have to explain to you who Kobe Bryant is, even if you don't watch basketball. The whole point is he got his ass kicked, and he came right back the very next day. My question to you is, what do you do when you get your ass kicked? Because everybody in life, you put yourself in enough situations, you're going to get your ass kicked. All right, you're going to get beat. You are going to lose. You are going to fail. You're going to try something that does not work. What do you do then? That's the question that I can't answer for you, but it's a question that you must answer for yourself. And I'll tell you one last thing that I heard Damon Dash said. And Damon Dash, for those of you who don't know, he was Jay-Z's business partner when they started their hip-hop company, their entertainment company, Rockefeller Records, back in the 90s. And Damon Dash said, you're not a champion in life till you're in a situation where it looks like you're going to lose and you win. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here in a road game. Usually when you play on the road, people are expecting you to lose because the home team, and remember, there's somebody else on the other side. It's not just you by yourself. So how many situations are you putting yourself in? Let me recap these points, then I'm going to take questions. I saw a couple comments come through, so I'm going to address those in a second. So the topic is why you need to play more games on the road in your life. Number one, everybody looks good when everything's working in their favor and you have wins. Everything is, the situation is tailored to you. That's like playing a game at home. It's like if your mom is working at a company and you go for a job interview, you get hired. Of course you got hired. Or your dad is a coach of the sports team, so you're getting all the playing time. Of course you did, because the situation is set up for you to win. Now, what about when the situation is set up for you to lose? Do you still show up? That's the question. Number two, you're only as good as what you come up against to get what you end up with. All right, so no matter what you have acquired in your life, the question is not what do you have. The question is, who did you beat to get it? What did you go through to get what you have? Because there are a lot of people in life who have things, but they didn't have to go through anything to get it. Therefore, it'd be very easy to take it from them because they didn't have to do anything to earn it. It was just handed to them. And this is why a lot of people, some people who make a lot of money, I'm talking about like they're publicly noted for making a lot of money, notice that they give their money away to charity. They don't just leave it to their kids. Like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they give a lot of their money away to charity, more than they even give to their own families. Because, and one of the things that they even say, they said this explicitly, is if I give all this money to my kids, they will never know what it feels like to have to earn it, and it's actually going to make them weaker because they never had to play a road game. This is exactly the point that I'm making here. You are only as good as who you beat, and you're only as good as how well somebody else could possibly beat you. If you don't go up against somebody who can beat you, then it doesn't matter that you beat them. You got to go up against people who can beat you. You can't just fight. No, you can't just fight a punching bag. Eventually, you got to fight a person, right? Point number three. Your will and strength of character is built when you play a game on the road. You cannot become tough by only playing home games and the situation set up in your favor. You got to go to a neighborhood where nobody knows you, where nobody likes you. You got to work for a boss who doesn't really care for you, a coach who didn't recruit you. And can you still show up and do your thing? Go somewhere where nobody knows you, nobody's expecting you to do good. People are looking at you like, who is this guy? Who is this girl? And then you do your thing. Prove yourself there. That's the situation that got me into pro balls. I had to go somewhere where nobody knew me, and I had 2 days to either make or break my career. And had those 2 days not happen, then you wouldn't be watching this live stream right now. This book right here wouldn't exist if I hadn't put myself in the position of playing in a road game. So you must play on the road in order to make yourself a champion in life. And number 4, if you don't have mental toughness, when you get your ass kicked on a road game, you're not going to come back. And understand, you playing enough road games, you will get your ass kicked and you will lose. All right, there will be times you show up somewhere and it does not work out. Like I told you with Kobe, his rookie year, he shot those 3 air balls. His team lost. Everybody was, or the fans, the critics, let's say, were blaming it on him, even though it wasn't his fault. The whole team wasn't very mentally tough. But Kobe, as soon as they got off the plane in LA, he went straight to the practice facility and started working on his game. He didn't shrivel up into a shell. He didn't disappear. He didn't lose his confidence. He knew that he needed to get better. And I think we all can agree he got better. So all that said, let me recap these, or after I recapped these points, which I just did, I'm going to take questions. So if you got a question or comment, go ahead and post it in the comment section. I'm going to address them all right now. And if you like what you just heard, this is just what I'm doing through the phone. Imagine if you come to a live event where I'm teaching the entire thing. This is one whole day in Miami, August 25th. It's called Work on Your Game Live. You can get your ticket right here at workonyourgame.live. And understand that this Thursday, July 15th, is the last day that you can buy a ticket for the event. So the event's not until August, but you got to get your ticket by Thursday. Then we're cutting off tickets so that we can start setting up logistics and all this stuff that we need to set up. We need to know how many people are coming and all of that. So workonyourgame.live. That's when you get your ticket to a live event. I'm teaching 100% of the event. And it's all about personal growth, personal development. If you like what you just heard, imagine if I give you a whole day of my best stuff, personalized attention. You're going to leave there with a full plan for your personal and professional development moving forward. Again, that is workonyourgame.live. The link is right there, workonyourgame.live. There's also a link in my bio on Instagram. So just go to my bio after this live is over. Don't leave now. But when this live is over, go to my bio, and that's where you can get your ticket. The link is there. That's where you get your ticket to Work on Your Game Live. So seeing what we got here. The Gifted said, I tune into the masterclass every day is like a shower for the mind. 100%, you are right. If you like my daily masterclass, some of y'all might call it a podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and everywhere else. If you like that show, again, imagine if you come to a live event where I'm teaching you directly in person and you're in a room full of like-minded individuals. The most valuable thing you're going to get from coming to this event is not me and my material being so great, even though the material will be great. It's the people that you're going to meet, because you're going to be in a room full of like-minded individuals who are serious about taking their games where their games need to go. That's why you got to be in the room in life. You can't do that through a phone. You got to be in person. So let's see what else we got here in the comments. If you got a question about anything I said, go ahead and post it. Kari, Aaliyah, what's going on? Train with Lane, what's up? Subhashandra, checking in from India. We got India in the house. The Enlightenment said, do you feel like coaches who have never been in a sport shouldn't be coaches? No, not necessarily, because some coaches who didn't play the sport, they still know the game very well. You know the game well enough, you study the game well enough, you can become a coach, even if you didn't play at a high level. And at the same time, there's a whole bunch of players who play a sport and then they try to become a coach and they suck. So just because you played at something doesn't mean you can coach it, because coaching is a different skill than like playing a sport, coaching a sport, training a sport, and being an analyst of a sport are 4 different skills. And some people can do one of them, some people can do 2, some can do 3. Maybe there's a rare person who could do all 4. I don't know if anybody can think of who could do all 4 and do it well. But actually, I don't know anybody who even tried to do all 4. So those are 4 different skills. So to answer your question is no. Just because you didn't play does not mean that you cannot coach. And just because you did play does not mean that you can coach. There are a bunch of players who played and tried to coach and they were terrible at coaching. So absolutely not. That's not the only requirement. Swift, Says, how would you compare road games to a person relocating to a new city? I think it's a good parallel. It's a good parallel depending on what you're going to do in that city. So let's say you have a business and your business is like in-person business, and you get all your business because you have relationships and you know people. Let's say you're like a musician and you do gigs in your city at like local cabarets and event venues, and then you move across the country to a new city. Now you don't know anybody. You can still play music, but nobody knows you. You don't have those relationships anymore, and you got to build those up all over again. So that's like a road game. Now you're in a new venue and you got to prove yourself all over again. So that's a similar situation. So I think that's a good parallel, the question that you asked there. And MJ says, how do I walk on to a college for basketball? I mean, basically what you said, you walk on. You find out when the tryouts are and you go in there and you show your game. And that's it. That's all you get to do. Brandon Joseph, what's going on? He said, I was talking about this Kobe thing to my mom yesterday. Yeah, the Kobe thing is a good parallel. MJ said, I didn't play in high school. Coach didn't want me to have the opportunity to play in college over people. He want other guys who did drugs and other crap have opportunity to play in college over people like me and my friend. Well, all of that doesn't really matter now. If you're in college, it doesn't really matter, does it? Based on how I live, he didn't think I needed an opportunity to let me play. Knowing I can help the team, he lost in semifinals because he kept the starters in the whole game. Well, again, MJ, Big T, go to workonyourgame.live. The link is in my bio. Go see the page. Everything's on there. MJ told me I wasn't shit. I'm working on my game, waiting for my opportunity. Think the school had the team laughing at me, thinking that was a joke. Well, MJ, you need to let that story go. I'm not saying that the story is not true. I believe you, but it's over now, right? You graduated. You're out of high school. You're about to go to college. I'm assuming based on the context of your question, you need to let that story go. Now the page has been turned. So what the coach did to you in high school or whatever the situation was, that has no bearing on what you're going to do right now today and what you're going to do tomorrow. So now you need to start focusing on the future and not any more focus on the past. That's over. So what are you going to do with the opportunity you have now? Because the coach can't stop you from succeeding if you don't want him to. Money May, I appreciate you. Get your ticket to Work on Your Game Live. The Enlightenment says mental toughness is also built through the experience of winning and losing road games. Would I agree? Yeah, I think I said that, the Enlightenment. Big T said, I have a friend that doesn't play enough road games in his daily life. He doesn't get out of his comfort zone. What should I do? You shouldn't do anything. What your friend is doing with their life is not your business. What you can do is focus on what you need to do. And if your friend wants to get on a level that you're at, assuming that, let's say you're on a higher level, assuming that you are, then they will come to you and ask you, hey, how can I start doing what you're doing? They'll ask you. But if they don't ask you, then it's not your business. You can observe, as you already have, but it's not your business. MJ says, my coach was a defensive coordinator. What's going on? Daberdeen, what's going on? Naman says, can I be as good as a D3 player by working hard even without playing high school ball in AAU? Well, I mean, first of all, D3, there are thousands of people who play Division III college basketball, so there's no standard of what a Division III player is. Sometimes players ask stuff like that, but there's no such thing as being as good as. There's no standard, and there's no measure of good in basketball. So as good as a D3 player, sure. There are D3 players who become pros like me, and there are D3 players who shouldn't even be on the team, like others that I saw when I was in college. So that range is so wide that there's really no answer to that question. That question is kind of unanswerable the way that it's formatted. But what you can do is focus on being the best player you can be and then seeing how you turn out. That's really the only thing you can measure. You can't really measure other players. There's thousands of D3 players. Most of them you'll probably never meet in your life. Brandon says, my road games, I join talent shows on IG with crowds that might not gravitate to my style of art. It's definitely hard, but I'll keep it up. Yeah, exactly. That's a road game. You got it right. Money May says, facts, let go of the past and marry on the present moment. Exactly. You got it right. So everybody, once again, workonyourgame.live. That's the page where you get your ticket to the event. The event is on August 25th in Miami. I'm teaching 100% of the event, but you can only buy a ticket up through this Thursday. After Thursday, you cannot buy a ticket to this event. After Thursday, I'm not even going to be promoting it anymore because you can't buy a ticket. So the only people I'm going to talk to about it are the people who I know are coming. So this Thursday is the last day to get a ticket to Work On Your Game Live. Again, it is at workonyourgame.live. That is the website. The link is there in my bio. And this book, The Third Day, is coming out on August 3rd, a.k.a. The Third Day. This is the hardcover copy. We got the paperback copy right here. Same book, just one is hardcover and one is paperback. You can get either one. We got bundles as well. So if you want to get 3 books, you want to get 10 books, give them out to your team, give them out to your friends, family. You can get that at thirddaybook.com. I'll talk about that a little bit more after we stop promoting Work On Your Game Live. So workonyourgame.live is the link to get that event. So everybody, that's it. That's all I'm going to say here for today. I got a daily show again called Work On Your Game. Comes out every single day on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, Google Play, Overcast, everywhere you can get a podcast. If you listen to podcasts, you know where to find it. Just look me up. It's called Work On Your Game. Just look up my name, Dre Baldwin. Work On Your Game Live is the event this Thursday. I'll be talking about that every day until this Thursday to make sure everybody who wants to be in the room is in the room. I just want to make sure nobody didn't know about it. Nobody says, well, Dre, I didn't know you were having an event. Nobody's going to have that problem. You're going to know about it, and you make your choice. You're either going to be in the room or you're going to be out of the room. But the event is August 25th. I'm teaching 100% of it. If you want to get game, you want to get the best game that's coming from the person who invented Work On Your Game, which is me. I'm teaching 100% of the event. We're going to have food. We're going to have drinks. It's in Miami. If you haven't been to Miami, then look it up on Google. If you've been to Miami, then just remember what it was like when you were here before. Why not come back? What else are you going to be doing on August 25th? Besides wanting to be in Miami. So I don't see this as a tough decision for anybody. Workonyourgame.live, that's the event page. If you got a question about anything around the event, go to workonyourgame.live. The page has all the details. We got an FAQ. You can reach out to Charlene, who's my event manager. If you got any questions about logistics, travel, all of that stuff, workonyourgame.live. Her phone number is on the page. You can DM me. You got any questions? I think I've said everything that needs to be said. Tomorrow I'm going to do another live. Don't know what I'm talking about yet, but if you like this one, next one's going to be even better. That's all I got to say. Everybody have a great Sunday. Work on your game.